Wonder, pages 51-60. The summer table. Hey, is this seat taken? I looked up and a girl I never saw before was standing across from my table with a lunch tray full of food. She had long wavy brown hair and wore a brown t-shirt and a purple peace sign on it. No, I said. She put her lunch tray on the table, plopped her backpack on the floor and sat across from me. She started to eat the mac and cheese on her plate. Ugh, she said after swallowing the first bite. I should have brought a sandwich like you did. Yeah, I said, nodding. My name is Summer, by the way. What's yours? August. Cool, she said. Summer, another girl came over to the table carrying a tray. Why are you sitting here? Come back to the table. It's too crowded, Summer answered her. Come and sit here, there's more room. The other girl looked confused for a second. I realised she had been one of the girls I'd caught looking at me just a few minutes earlier, hand cupped over her mouth, whispering. I guess Summer had been one of those girls at the table too. Never mind, said the girl, leaving. Summer looked at me, shrugged, smiled, and took another bite of her mac and cheese. Hey, her name's kind of Matt, she said as she chewed. I guess you could tell that I didn't know what she meant. Summer? August, she said, smiling her eyes open wide as she waited for me to get it. Oh yeah, I said after a second. We can make this the summer-only lunch table, she said. Only kids with summer names can sit here. Let's see, is anyone here named June or July? There's a Maya, I said. Technically May is spring, Summer answered. But if she wants to sit here, we could make an exception. She said it as if she'd actually thought the whole thing through. There's Julian. That's like the name Julia, which comes from July. I didn't say anything. There's a kid named Reed in my English class, I said. Yeah, I know Reed, but how is Reed a summer name? She asked. I don't know, I shrugged. I just picture like a reed of grass being a summer thing. Yeah, okay, she nodded, pulling out her notebook. And Miss Petosa could sit here too. That kind of sounds like the word petal, which I think of as a summer thing too. I have her for homeroom, I said. I have her for maths, she answered, making a face. She started writing a list of names on the second to last page of her notebook. So, who else, she said. By the end of the lunch, we'd come up with a whole list of a bunch of names of kids and teachers who could sit at our table if they wanted. Most of the names weren't actually summer names, but they were names that had some kind of connection to summer. I even found a way of making Jack Will's name by pointing out that you could turn his name into a sentence about summer, like Jack will go to the beach, which Summer agreed worked fine. But if someone doesn't have a summer name and wants to sit with us, she said very seriously, we'll still let them if they're nice, okay? Okay, I nodded, even if it's a winter's name. Cool beans, she answered, giving me a thumbs up. Summer looked like a name. She had a tan and her eyes were green like a leaf. 1 to 10. Mum always had this habit of asking me how something felt on a scale of 1 to 10. I started after I had my jaw surgery when I couldn't talk because my mouth was wired shut. They had taken a piece of bone from my hip bone to insert it into my chin to make it look more normal, so I was hurting in a lot of different places. Mum would point to one of my bandages and I would hold up my fingers to show how much it was hurting. 1 meant a little bit, 10 meant so much. Then she would tell the doctor when he made his rounds what needed adjusting, or things like that. Mum got very good at reading my mind sometimes. After that we got into the habit of doing a 1 to 10 scale for anything that hurt. Like if I just had a plain old sore throat, she'd ask, 1 to 10, and I'd say 3 or whatever it was. When school was over, I went outside to meet Mum, who was waiting for me by the front entrance like all the other parents or babysitters. The first thing she said after hugging me was, so how was it? 1 to 10? 5, I said, shrugging, which I could tell totally surprised her. Wow, she said quietly. That's even better than I hoped for. Are we picking Via up? Miranda's mother is picking her up today. Do you want me to carry her backpack, sweetness? We'd started walking through the crowded kids and parents, most of whom were noticing me secretly, pointing me out to each other. I'm fine, I said. It looks too heavy, Oggy. She started to take it from me. Mum, I said, pulling my backpack away from her. I walked in front of her through the crowd. See you tomorrow, August. It was Summer. She was walking in the opposite direction. Bye, Summer, I said, waving at her. As soon as we crossed the street and were away from the crowd, Mum said, Who was that, Oggy? Summer. Is she in your class? I have lots of classes. Is she in any of your classes, Mum said. No. Mum waited for me to say something else, but I just didn't feel like talking. So it went okay, said Mum. I could tell she had a million questions she wanted to ask me. Everyone was nice. Did you like your teachers? Yeah. How about those kids you met last week? Were they nice? Fine. Jack hung out with me a lot. That's so great, sweet. What about that boy Julian? I thought about that Darth Sidious comment. By now I felt like that had happened 100 years ago. He was okay, I said. And the blonde girl, what was her name? Charlotte, Mum. I said everyone was nice already. Okay, Mum answered. Honestly, I don't know why I was kind of mad at Mum, but I was. We crossed Amesfort Avenue, and she didn't say anything else until we turned onto our block. So, Mom said, how did you meet Summer if she wasn't in any of your classes? We sat together at lunch, I said. I'd started kicking a rock between my feet like it was a soccer ball, chasing it back and forth across the sidewalk. She seems very nice. Yeah, she is. She's very pretty, Mum said. Yeah, I know, I answered. We're kind of like Beauty and the Beast. I didn't wait to see Mum's reaction. I just started running down the sidewalk after the rock, which I'd kicked as hard as I could in front of me. Padawan. That night I cut off the little braid on the back of my head. Dad noticed first. Oh good, he said. I never liked that thing. Via couldn't believe I cut it off. That took you years to grow, she said, almost like she was angry. Why did you cut it off? I don't know, I answered. Did someone make fun of it? No. Did you tell Christopher you were cutting it off? We're not even friends anymore. That's not true, she said. I can't believe you'll just cut it off like that, she added snottily, and then practically slammed my bedroom door shut as she left the room. I was snuggling with Daisy on my bed when Dad came to tuck me in later. He scooched Daisy over gently and lay down next to me on the blanket. So, Oggy Doggy, he said. It was really an okay day? He got that from an old cartoon about a Dachshund named Oggy Doggy, by the way. He had brought it for me on eBay when I was about 4, and we watched it a lot for a while, especially in the hospital. He would call me Oggy Doggy, and I would call him Dear Old Dad, like the puppy called the Dachshund Dad on the show. Yeah, it was totally okay, I said, nodding. You've been so quiet all night long. I guess I'm tired. It was a long day, huh? I nodded. But it really was okay? I nodded again. He didn't say anything, so after a few seconds I said, it was better than okay, actually. That's great to hear, Oggy, he said quietly, kissing my forehead. He said, it looks like it was a good call Mum made. You're going to school. Yeah, but I could stop going if I wanted to, right? That was the deal, yes, he answered. Though I guess it would depend on why you wanted to stop going too, you know. You'd have to let us know, you'd have to talk to us and tell us how you're feeling, and if anything bad was happening. Okay? You promise you'd tell us? Yeah. So can I ask you something? Are you mad at Mum or something? You've been kind of huffy with her all night long. You know, Oggy, as much as I'm as much to blame for sending you to school as she is. No, she's more to blame. It was her idea. Mum knocked on the door just then and peeked her head inside the room. Just wanted to say good night, she said. She looked kind of shy for a second. Hi, Mama, Dad said, picking up my hand and waving at her. I heard you cut off your braid, Mum said to me, sitting down at the edge of the bed next to Daisy. It's not a big deal, I answered quickly. I didn't say it was, said Mum. Why did you put Oggy to bed tonight? Dad said to Mum, getting up. I've got some work to do anyway. Good night, my son. My son. That was another part of our Oggy Doggy routine, though I wasn't in the mood to say good night, dear old Dad. I'm so proud of you, said Dad, and then he got up out of the bed. Mum and Dad had always taken turns to put me to bed. I know it was a little babyish of me to still needing to do that, but that's how it was with us. Will you check on Via? Mum said to Dad as she lay down next to me. He stopped by the door and turned round. What's wrong with Via? Nothing, said Mum, shrugging. At least that she would tell me, but first day high school and all that. Said Dad, and he pointed his finger at me and winked. It's always something with you kids, isn't it? He said. Never a dull moment, said Mum. Never a dull moment, Dad repeated. Good night, guys. As soon as he closed the door, Mum pulled out the book she'd been reading to me for the last couple of weeks. I was relieved because I really was afraid she'd want to talk, and I just didn't feel like doing that. But Mum didn't seem to want to talk either. She just flipped through the pages until she got to where we'd left off. We were halfway through reading The Hobbit. Stop, shouted Thorin, said Mum, reading aloud. But it was too late. The excited dwarves had wasted their last arrows, and now the bows of Bjorn had given to them were useless. They were a gloomy party that night, and the gloom gathered still deeper on them in the following days. They had crossed the enchanted stream, but beyond it the path seemed to straggle on just as before, and in the forest they could see no change. I'm not sure why, but all of a sudden I started to cry. Mum put the book down and wrapped her arms around me. She didn't seem surprised I was crying. It's okay, she whispered in my ear. It'll be okay. I'm sorry, I said between sniffles. Shh, she said, wiping my tears with the back of her hand. You've nothing to be sorry about. Why do I have to be so ugly, Mummy? I whispered. No, baby, you're not. I know I am. She kissed me all over her face. She kissed my eyes that came down too far. She kissed my cheeks that looked punched in. She kissed my tortoise mouth. She said soft words that I know were meant to help me, but words can't change my face.